This is WBCF Television in New York, where Dear Peter is next.
Peace groups in existence and new ones forming. For my guests tonight, I have 3 people who are presently active in peace groups. They are GAIL SERECA, Dennis Allen, and BITUTE SKERDENUS. We'll be back in a moment with these people.
I was asked to come down here. I met Pete a few weeks ago through his aunt, who's active in the peace movement Bay Ridge, and she asked me to come down here just to, rap a little bit about forming a group and stuff like that. So, what do I say? The most important thing, I think, about forming this group is education. When you get into a peace movement, the first thing you usually think of, is you get into for emotional reasons sometimes. The reason this group was formed, as Pete has told me, is because someone very close to you was killed in Vietnam. It's a terrible thing, and it must be, emotionally very, very trying. But when somebody comes up to you and says, well, why are you against the war? You can't say because my friend was killed. You have to give reasons why you're against the war, legitimate intellectual reasons why you're against the war. You have to be able to tell the history of the war, when the United States got in, when the French got out, the whole bit. You have to be able to go through just everything about it, why it's illegal, why it's immoral. It's very easy to mouth all these things, but you have to be able to defend them. Your neighbors around here who say the war is good and stuff like that, they can probably defend it. Like, they'll tell you, they're fighting communism. But, you have to be able to say, you're not fighting communism, and tell them why, So that's why I think education is the most important thing. Education first for this group in itself. When I first started, getting active in peace, I didn't know why I was against the war. I was just against the war because I was a pacifist and I was against violence. And I would be against any war. But I had to learn. I had to learn an awful lot. I had to read, and I had to listen to speakers, and I had to write to places and, go through a lot of garbage, to get the true information. Because, like, you read the daily news every day, or you read the Post, and you just don't get the truth. You just do not get the truth at all. You read the goddamn editorials, and they're just lies, out and out lies. And you start reading other papers and listening to other people speak, people who've been there, and you begin to realize the truth, and it's very shocking. But once you know it, you have to act. So I think what the most important thing this group can do is educate itself first. Once you've educated yourself, you can go out to the community in a load of ways. We have draft counseling leaflets here. These are handed out at high schools and things like that to graduating seniors who will be drafted next year. And they won't know if they can get out of it, and they can get out of it. There are a million ways to get out of the draft. You don't have to go. It's an infringement on your freedom. I left some literature here about the draft, for young men here who think they're going to be drafted. You can say no. Dennis Allen, who's with me tonight, he's saying no. I don't feel adequate really speaking about this like, because I'm a girl. And, I'm not faced with this terrible, terrible decision. But a lot of young men are saying no. 10,000 young men are in jail because they said no. And you're not alone if you say no. You have the whole movement behind you. They're willing to support you in every way. When our group, one of the actions our group took this year that was pretty significant, there was a huge peace demonstration on April 5th in New York. 80,000 people showed up. Our group, a very small group from Bay Ridge, decided to go to this peace demonstration together instead of all singly as we would have gone. When we went together, we marched down the streets of Bay Ridge, just in a line, very orderly, no singing, just silently. We made a big effect on the people because they couldn't believe it. These people, these conservatives, couldn't believe it. There were people in their own neighborhood who were saying no to the draft and saying no to the war and saying it was wrong. It was very shocking. It made a lot of people wake up and think. And that's very, very important. First, you've got to get thinking. You've got to develop your own ideas and then bring them out to the community. And they just can't say no to you. And a very important thing, too, is that when you're in something like this, you're going to come up against a lot of garbage. from everywhere, and people are going to throw things at you. Last week I was at a demonstration for California grapes, and I got things thrown at me, and like this was a drag. It was like really a drag. I got a bar of soap thrown at me because I was a dirty hippie, and I should take a bath. And like it was really a drag, because I'm not a dirty hippie, and I don't think hippies are dirty anyway, unless they want to be. And like you go through a lot of shit like this, and people are going to really hassle you an awful lot. Your parents are going to hassle you. What are you doing? Well, unless you have good arguments to say what you're doing, your parents aren't going to listen to you. You're just a crazy kid, And you have to be more effective than all of that, and I think you can be. That's about it.
Okay, Dennis, you want to pick up on the draft situation?
Yeah, as Gail said, I am saying no to the draft. I feel many other people should say no. Maybe not for my reasons. My reasons, I'm a pacifist and I don't believe in any war whatsoever. No justification for violence or anything like that. Now, young men that don't believe in that at all, if somebody hits them, they want to hit them back. The main reason for that is probably their pride is hurt. Who hit me wrong? If somebody's looking at me, I have to hit them back. This is the big thing. But I think we have to get our boys right here, just to say to themselves, what am I going to do in the war? I'm going to kill, and do I want to kill, and for what reason? I don't think most of the men in Vietnam right now don't even know why they're killing. They're just killing because they're told to do it. They're robots. There's a Vietnam shooting a bush. They shoot in a bush. They don't even know what they're shooting at. They're shooting at anything in sight. World War II was like this too. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard stories from the guys that they'd shoot into the bush. This man that he's killing could be the greatest man on earth for all you know. And you're killing him, cold-blooded murder to me, This is something I couldn't accept. And resistance, I think, is appropriate in this situation right now. And for the best thing for you to do is, like Gail said, I think, in the group getting together, you have to show a lot of literature and films and a whole bunch of stuff, and get these people to feel the way Pamela Girl did there in the Wars in Vietnam, the World Street Festival. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, but try not to feel it just because my cousin was lost, my brother was lost, because people are lost. And, you got to live with these people all your life, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to live with it. Man needs man to exist. So we have to just learn to love one another.
Do you have any suggestions or any hints or whatever you want to call it, as to where we should get these films, like what type of films, what kind of literature, what type of, stuff to show, in what ways, in what areas massively should we bend down into checking out and stuff like that?
Possibly by going to other meetings of this sort, and they're probably giving out literature, get a hold of that and bring it here, and let them read it, Not just read it and say, yeah, they're right, and put it away. Get off your ass and do something, damn it, Everybody, that's the trouble. Everybody realizes there's something wrong, but goddamn it, they just sit down and do nothing, It's like Gail and Bruno, they're both working with the boycott grapes. They see something wrong in this, and they're doing something. There's no violence or anything. They're just letting the world know that this is wrong, and perhaps someday it can be corrected, So I think this is the same thing you have to do. You have to get these guys to get off their ass and do something.
The greatest, composite of information is like on Lafayette Street, when Resistance and Catholic Peace Fellowship got ransacked out of 5 Beacon Street, which was, their home for something like 23 years. They moved down to Lafayette Street, and you can get almost anything from them. If they don't have it themselves, they'll tell you someone that will have it, or if you can get in touch with someone from one of the Columbia peace movements, because Columbia is really very, very organized, and they have at their school of law, they have draft counselors, study time for the school, and also they hold courses, like after you get into the peace movement long enough and you feel you really would like to know more about the draft and your ways out, that you should go there, and they have courses in the fall and in the spring, a regular draft counseling course, which will give you any information that you want.
I think also you can go to Catholic work. I'm sure they would have something.
Well, the Catholic worker is more for people who are going to resist, who definitely are going to jail. They are not going to have anything to do with the system. And if you want to try to get out of it, that's the best thing is going to a draft counselor. Because at a draft counselor, they'll try to talk you out of total resistance.
On this deal, you're constantly speaking of people going to jail. Is this like a big thing that everyone's out to do? Or?
Well, if you can't get a CO, which is rather difficult to get, it depends on your draft board. Like if they don't like your looks, or if you've done something, or they had a cousin of a cousin of a cousin who's been killed in Vietnam, they might not give you a CO, and most probably they won't. And so your next thing is either to leave the country or to go to jail. If like unless you want to go into the army. But most people who are looking for a CO are the people who will wind up in jail if they don't get it.
I think that's why it's very, very important that young men get these draft leaflets and know where to go, what draft councils to go to before induction time comes up. And once you've had your physical, and you decide that you're a CO and you decide to plead for that, it's like unheard of to get it. You're dead. Once you've had your physical, you're in the army, if you pass. That's why you have to get these leaflets out quick, to anybody. Like if you're 17 years old, you need this draft leaflet. You need to work now, because it's coming up, in less than a year, and they'll get you as soon as they...
Let me ask you something. On this deal, there was a principal, just know of one incident, where the principal at a high school didn't want these people handing out leaflets to go into the school itself. Fort Hamilton, wherever it was. Why doesn't he want them to go in the place?
God damn it, he's an American, wow. You want these communists in your school? Get out of here, you don't want to come in your school.
That's how they do it.
I suppose you don't really, this is American, like you're going to run up against this constantly. People are going to tell you, you're a communist, you're a communist. And like they'll have things out like all over the neighborhood about you, and you'll get phone calls at your house, and you'll just go through a lot of shit for nothing because you're standing up for what you believe in. Of course, the greatest
communist. My brother George a communist. My brother Lloyd a communist. Anybody that says peace is a communist. And she gets the three finger sign.
Yeah.
It's a little strange.
I didn't know we were that communist early before.
Oh yes, you are.
Yeah.
If you're trying to stop people from killing other people, that's definitely a communistic idea of socialism.
Yeah, and like you don't belong in this country. They have a big poster, get your ass out of this country if you don't love it, And like, this is just so ridiculous because you're really trying to do something.
And you see that beautiful sign, the color guy holding up the sign. And no Vietcong called me nigga.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah. That's another important thing, especially here in Williamsburg, because you're near a black community, more or less. Becoming a black community. The war is, I believe the war is a racist war. We're killing yellow people because they're yellow people. It's back to yellow peril, I believe. And I don't think black people have any, need to fight in this war. And as it is, the armed forces is mostly black. The draftees now are mostly black. Because these are the kids who can't get into college or can't get the 2S deferment. And they don't have the money. They're not rich, so they get into the army. They have nothing to say about it. It's a racist war. They don't have to kill in this war.
Let me ask you, what are your views, or what do you think about social Darwinism?
About what?
Social Darwinism.
I don't know what social Darwinism is, man. Explain it to me.
That's sort of like the survival of the fittest.
Oh, shit.
And if you, socially, like people. In other words, I make it rich, right? And you don't. I make it rich because I have certain facilities, see? And I'm not supposed to help you, because if I help you, then I'm helping someone that couldn't make it, and that'll bring the whole human race down. You understand?
So what do you think of social Darwinism?
No, like you see, we were talking about this deal here, and it sounded like you were against it. I didn't know if you knew it existed or not. Well, what do I think of it? I guess I'm against it, Because, like, otherwise I'd probably get knocked off, and I ain't for me getting knocked off.
I think you want to know basically what you want to do with kids, right? You want to know what's happening. I think you better explain to them that they're, like I said, they're going to get things thrown at them perhaps. Like, I don't know if you're the big piece once I had at Central Park. Easter, was it? Remember that is people on the sideline, standing there, get the hell out, and yelling and cursing.
I'm an American.
Yeah, I'm an American. But like, when you think about it, all these people were doing was marching for peace. They want peace, right? Now, anybody in their right mind wants peace. That's all I can say. I mean, no person really wants to go out and kill just for the sake of killing. So these people really, they say we act blindly. I don't think they know what they're talking about because there's a few guys with long hair in there. Everybody's a pacifist and everything, but most of them probably weren't pacifists. Most of the people that march in the parade would probably punch you in the face if they punched them, right? And then, this is what people don't understand.
What consultation, like what would you tell our people, instead of getting things going at them, what would you tell them?
I think just to ignore it, just, which is the hard, this may sound funny to everybody, but love their enemy. I think, Christ preached this, and I think it's something that's beautiful. Like, to be able to, somebody throw something at you and, accept that man as a human being and still love him first, is something that, it's very hard. I think it's one of the hardest things to accomplish on this earth, in this universe, And like people just say, well, if I'm doing it, nothing's going to happen, the world ain't going to change, so screw it. Well, that's why, because everybody's saying, screw it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. Let's say we went to Vietnam, right? We did, the whole bunch.
Well, I
right?
would go.
And we go, I'm saying we're going with peace, little crap like that, right? Now we're going over there, right? And they got rifles, right? Do you agree that we get shot apart?
Well, yes, we would.
That's because we are there. It's written on
what I'm trying to say is, don't you believe in the self-defense?
Self-defense, no.
The three of us don't believe in self-defense. This isn't characteristic of the peace movement. Most of the people in the peace movement aren't pacifists, but we believe, are, which is sort of a hassle today, especially because people aren't being. The contradiction I see is that. The peace movement comes on and says, we're all for peace and we're all for nonviolence. And yet, the cop comes up to you with a club and shit, man, you're going to fight him back. Well, goddamn it, that's violence. And I'm against violence. And we're fighting against violence.
That's all against SDS too.
And that's the big contradiction in the whole thing, and I think you have to wipe it out. I mean, look at Gandhi, look what he did. Never raised his fist to anybody, man. And he got the goddamn English out there. No more imperialism in India.
You don't have to go as far as Gandhi, last August, or 2 August ago, Dean Rusk was in New York, and everyone was hassling because the cops were really being vicious. They were pushing people. One side of the police would say go into the street, and the other side would say go into the sidewalk. So everyone just jumped the barriers. But they ran to Times Square. It was just one person running, but there were around 2,000 running. They just stood in Times Square, and the horses were getting ready, and they were getting their clubs and started swinging them. And everyone just stood there and went, for 15 minutes. And the cops were totally confused. Nothing. The cops didn't know what to do. They just stood there totally amazed that this should be happening. And what are they doing? What are they trying to do? And they couldn't do anything because we weren't really doing. We were just passively resisting, which is the whole idea of pacifist. War and anti-war.
It would be pretty hard for someone to keep beating you. You just have to smile at him or something. And it sounds funny, which is very hard for a person to accept. Somebody hit you and just thank them for it, more or less. This is something which is, they say, impossible. Martin Luther King has been stabbed. He has been stabbed, and he has forgiven him. And if he were alive today, if he had recovered from that shot, he would have loved that person that shot.
But if he swung back, he wouldn't be dead, right?
Swung back at a bullet?
No, not a bullet. I mean, if he swung back at the people that stabbed him before,
yeah, but what good that
might still be alive.
So
they would have called him a dirty communist nigger.
This death meant more to him. I mean, the love of another person meant more to him than his death, his life.
I think we're all calling ourselves Christians, and most of the people here are Christians. And that's what Christ did, he did as a pacifist. And forget it, wow, he was so tremendous. Whether or not you accept him as God, he's a beautiful, beautiful man. He didn't have to be crucified, but he was crucified for something he believed in. Greater love than this no man hath than that.
You have a question, yeah?
I would like then to define communism for me. Tell me something about it.
Communism?
Yes.
According to the Americans, according to what,
According to you.
According to me? Well, first of all, I don't think there's anything wrong with communism. And I think it's just an ideal state where it's more or less, I think it is a community living where everybody should, nobody owns anything more or less. You know what I mean? I have money, it's not mine, it's everybody else's. But of course, the communist Russia is not like this, what everybody says. See, what I dream is a utopia. So everybody has that. I believe it's something to come. I have a dream. I mean, And I just think it's something like that.
We have bulletproof vests, which is
Can I say something? You need to tell me. Say at
Somebody
the
came
moment,
up to me and punched
wait
me
a
in the
minute,
mouth.
if we
Okay,
had
sure.
World War III,
Hey,
you wouldn't go and fight?
no, I wouldn't. Because killing another man isn't going to solve it.
I could see like Vietnam, but I can't see a Third World War when everybody has gone.
Why
Well,
can't
if
you
it were a
see
Third World War, we wouldn't be fighting.
What would we be doing? What would we be doing? We're defeating... First of all, I'm a pacifist. That explains it. You know, I couldn't accept myself to kill another man. I just couldn't do
Even
it.
if somebody
somebody
came up to you and just pushed you, you would stand there and go to
I'd walk away.
Yeah,
and I've
that's
done
the
it.
whole
I've been
thing.
punched and got 2 teeth knocked out, and I just walked away. I mean, it's hard to believe, but it's been done.
All right.
You know, and I've done
It's
it.
vague, that's all.
It's hard.
Question, yes.
Your definition of communism is absolutely right. But is it like that?
No, I said that. I said it wasn't.
Okay.
I'm not saying I want
If
communism.
I shoot at you, right? If you're not going to shoot back at me,
No, I wouldn't have ever gotten my hand to shoot you.
That's what a pacifist is. Comprendi?
let me tell you,
I'm crazy, right?
no, I'm not saying that. You have to
No, we should
way of thinking.
discuss.
If you really believe in that, you're right. And I have my own way, and I really believe in it, so I think I'm right.
But I think you have to stop now, you know, maybe you say I'm being narrow-minded, but I'm going to say, like, maybe you should open your mind more to see that your brothers and sisters
Everyone
are
here,
being killed.
excuse me, everyone here is talking about Vietnam. Can I ask you a question? Has anyone here ever been there?
Yeah.
So how could you talk about it? By what you read?
Most of the people that was there don't come back.
You said yourself,
We've heard
consider
from...
you very educated the way you're talking. You said yourself you can't believe what you read.
It's the truth.
Right, so I'm telling you, it's not the way you're talking.
Well, how do you see Vietnam?
You're there because we're living in a country that, would you like to live under communism? The way Russia?
No.
The way, okay,
No, well, see, we're trying to change what we got because what we got ain't so too good.
it ain't good.
All right?
You think you sure it's not good? Would
We
you
know
like-
it ain't good.
Would you? It could be.
That's it, we could be
There's always
better.
room for
And we're going to make
any
it
place.
better.
Well, you
That's
see,
the
well,
idea.
why'd you sit back and say, well, we have something good. It's not bad. And, you know, sit back and, you know, that's it. But, you know, like, my brother can go to Vietnam and get killed. That's going to hurt me. Why should I let this happen? Why can't people just be together and love one another? I'm serious. It sounds funny to
It
you.
don't sound funny. It's a great thing.
Yeah, I know. This is what everybody tells me. It sounds
But
good.
wait a minute.
you know.
Let me ask you a question. Did you? I can't even think of that book. I want to ask you if you read. Anyway, do you realize now? Do you realize that if we never kill or have war by 19, you know, like 100 years?
You're going to talk about population explosion?
Absolutely. Don't you think it's
Well,
something?
I think that's true, but in 1970, scientists who are experts in this field said it's going to be famine in 1970 in Asia. They say it's going to start.
Well, there's famine in Asia now.
Right, and it's going to spread, So it's going to happen anyway. Goddamn, I don't have to kill somebody to make it happen. It's going to happen whether or not I'm going to live peacefully.
But
Don't you believe?
do you think by what you're doing that the whole world will, after maybe 5 years, think your way? If you do, great, I hope it does, but I don't believe so.
Let me ask you,
No, see, because you're saying you won't believe so. You won't accept our way and you won't try to, practice
I
it.
can't accept your way.
That doesn't matter. You still can accept it. I've seen many guys in the service that have been in the Peace March itself. Many GIs were there, Central Park.
I couldn't.
Well, this is,
did you go to Vietnam?
Yes, I did.
yeah, we realize that.
Were you very happy about Vietnam?
I wasn't happy about it, but
Well,
Well, why'd you?
what? Yeah.
why'd I go?
Because you were told. See, this
I
is
didn't sound
not
like
good.
a puppet to you?
Well, do you believe in killing somebody?
No.
So why do you do it? Why? How
No, I
can you?
didn't.
Well,
You
it's not,
did.
if he had to, he would have. This is something that he has to his lucky.
And let me, the way you feel now, you want to help me.
Yeah.
Okay. Go in the army. Just hear me out first. Go. There's 50 corpsmen in Vietnam now that I know that they're non-conformists. Joe was a corpsman, man. They don't carry guns. They're non-combatant. They're under the Geneva Convention. Wait a minute now. You're getting shot at, right? These guys won't shoot back. But they're not sitting on their behinds. They're out there helping people,
But you see-
helping the Vietnamese, helping the United soldiers that are your brothers and my
You're
brothers.
saying it's all right for other people to kill, but not for me to kill. You're still country.
I'm not saying it's all right for anybody to
Well,
kill.
this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing.
It's wrong for anybody to kill, but it's being done. So just because something's being done, can we try to help? That's what you're trying to do now.
We're trying to change it.
Right, you're trying to change it. So now, what these guys are doing there, I'm sure they're not killing anybody, believe me. They're pacifists also. And they're non-combatant, but they're helping people. Isn't this your thing?
They're not
Wait, if you didn't have 50,000 American troops in Vietnam murdering, you wouldn't need even 50 corps to help stop the sickness, the illness, the murder.
You still would.
You would still need them, but I'm saying, 50,000 troops killing people aren't making it any better, aren't making the medical situation any better or anything like that.
See, I'm going into Vista, and I think Vista, if you're crazy to go into the service and contribute to a war that is...
Well, I think so too, but does Vista get you out of the army?
That's not what I'm going to. I applied for my CO, conscientious objection. And if I don't get it, I'll go to jail. I'm willing to go to jail.
Well, I don't believe that way, but I do admire you from thinking it and doing it, following all the way through. Like she said, hippies. If I see a hippie,
Which is I hate it.
no, well, this is a religion to me. Too many people, especially if you go down the village, are phonies.
Yeah, straight.
And that sickens me. They're not themselves. The real hippies are they're people that are good people. I mean, they might not be good to me, but they're a better man than I will ever be because they believe in something and they go along and they follow it all the way through, which I don't seem to be able to do this. But I do admire and respect someone like that. If you really think that way, then great, go ahead and do it. But just because I don't think that way, you shouldn't hate me. And I don't hate you.
That would be just against our purpose, right?
Okay, right.
Saying we're loving and hating somebody that disagrees with us, I mean, it's just a contradiction.
I can't give you an explanation why and why and why. But all I know, Vietnam's bad, and it's not good.
Yeah, well, see, you're acting blindly, and this is bad. This is bad. You know what I'm saying? Well,
I'm not acting blindly.
Well, you said you went to the war, and you didn't believe in it, then why'd you go?
I didn't say I don't believe in any war. But it's something that this country went into. We elect a president.
Yeah, well, we're trying to stop that.
We elect a president. We give this man all our faith. We're supposed to anyway. You're not old enough to vote.
Let me talk to you about our president. We put our president there for one reason, right? To get him out of Vietnam, all right? Right? He went on his platform and says, I will end the war.
And he is.
He is?
Let's face facts. Wait, I think you'll agree with me. You can't pull, how many troops are in Vietnam?
55,000.
But you can't pull 55,000 people out in less than 6 months a year.
These are the combat troops. There's a whole bunch of other troops that don't fight.
Okay, it's impossible, really. I mean, how are you going to get everybody out of there in 6 months?
Both. They all go down to the shore and get into boats. They can go all out.
No, you can't do it. Because
If we had to do it.
we don't have the,
They can do it in a shorter period than 11 years,
It would take 11 years to make it.
First of all, I wouldn't hold my breath before the first bunch come out again.
If I come up to you and smack you in the face, would you smack me
You're
back?
damn right. You want to try?
There's a difference now. See,
Well, that's why I'm
I ain't no pacifist.
see, now a lot of people, because I'm pacifist, they come up and try me, I'm kidding on it, pushing and things like that. First thing I would do, I wouldn't just stand there and get a beating. I'd run away. Can't see, these legs can move. You want to see me run? You know what I mean?
I don't condemn you for that, But if you really believe in it, I'll respect you for it. But there's too many phony people around.
You're trying to find out if we're phony people, more or less.
I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know you. I don't know her. I don't know any of you.
That's the truth.
And it's
We
very
don't know
hard.
you,
I know I'm
so
from home there.
that's right.
You see, it's very hard for you to accept our way because you were brought up in a certain environment. And perhaps it is. It has a lot to do with it. Don't say no, because it has a lot to do with it. I was brought up in an environment where my brother is a CO, a pacifist, 2 brothers, in fact. One brother was an ex-Marine, and he has told me a damn lot, and I'm sure my brother wouldn't mind me. And he got an undesirable discharge because he was a little hitter, He went around, he really did a lot of crazy things, beat up the sergeant, things like that.
Crazy, yeah.
He did, anything, I don't want to go into it too deeply, but now he has tendencies towards pacifism, to tell you the truth. And when my brother Kenny, before, you wouldn't believe it, he used to go around, cut the juice curls, and, cut them, and beat up niggas. He hated everybody, this was his personality. And now he's really changed, and it's really great. And that's because because he has seen me, my brother, well, more or less my two older brothers. And, you know, this environment does a lot to me. I guess that's why I'm the way I am, because my brothers made me, not my parents. Well, my father came up being a pacifist, and he is a no. He is.
Just to skip back to Vietnam. Now, bear me out, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, just correct me, okay? Okay. The Vietnamese, all right? They've been fighting the French, no? 200 years, right? French pull out, right? Who was there? Good old Uncle Sam. About 200 years. They come in, oh, fine, we're here. Don't you think they're a little sick of fighting? Well, don't you think we should pull out, like Russia? See, we get the statistics that they're not too happy that we're there, and we're just talking about South Vietnam. I'm sure the commies in North Vietnam is having another trouble too. Because the people are just like sort of tired, like they want to cut. 200 years is a hell of a long time. And the country's like completely destroyed, if I'm right, right? You were there? You wouldn't call it the garden spot, would you? It ain't fun city. So, all right, I want to thank my guests very much for coming. I want to thank all the questions we got. I want to thank my guests, Dennis Allinan, GAIL, SERECA, and BITUTE, SKERDENUS. And if you're 17 years old or approaching the draft age, I strongly advise you to go and see your draft counselors. If you're in Prospect Park, there's Park Slope, on every Thursday, 7:30 to 9:30, at the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture, 53 Prospect Park West. In Coney Island, every Monday, 7:30 to 9:30, at the Coney Island Hospital Assembly, 3030 Neptune Avenue. In East New York, every Tuesday, 7:30 to 9:30, at 613 New Lots Avenue. Thank you and good night.